I mean it. Because in those days, when you are going for university annual review meeting, you will be thinking, if you are a Muslim, you go to your imam, and if you are a Christian, you go to your pastor, that this man who is sit there, may he sleep or go out when my paper is being presented. He will sit down there, and he has a strategy of insulting vice chancellors. He will say, Director Academic Planning, why are you sleeping when this is being done? You know he's talking to the vice chancellor. He will say, Director Academic Planning, why are you doing this to this man? You know what he was telling the vice chancellor was, you are a failure from home. So all of us who are directors, and I happen to be the chairman, committee of directors of academic planning at that time, I would tell my academic planners, that including the present, who was my secretary, INEC chairman, Professor Yakubu, he was the director of academic planning of NDA at that time. So they will say, this man, he will not talk directly to the VC, but directors of academic planning, by the time you leave the place, you will be quarreling. There was a day I went with my vice chancellor from Abuja to Ilorin. No, we didn't speak to each other. We sat in the same car, but we couldn't talk because, say, Oga, why did you take me through this problem? But you didn't shout enough. But that was what happened. So our Professor Kebukola has always been a motivator. Now, I've been asked to talk about the dynamics of university governance. Frankly speaking, there are so many dynamics, elements of dynamics, but I'm only picking one, and that is the Vice Chancellor. I'm just picking one. All the presentation that you will be seeing today is to say that many people can be responsible, but all the Vice Chancellors responsible for what is happening. That is the thrust of my presentation. ASU, NASU, government no funding. A university cannot rise beyond the quality of its Vice Chancellor, and that's what I'm saying. So I say good afternoon to my Ogas, and thank the AVCNU for inviting me to this. And I'm doing some introspection. Yes, I bring one greetings from JAMB. I'm always happy to be with you, because I believe VCs can do a lot. They can do a lot more for this nation than they presently do. If the university is good, the community will be good. If the community is bad, it will affect the university. Such are the dynamics of the city and the university. They are interconnected. The town and the gown share more than the rhyme. It's not just town and gown. They share more than the rhyme. But we must not allow the town to tear our. I must thank AVCNU. When you wanted to start your program today, you started. A way of tearing your program is to wait for the governor. You know how the governor will have messed up your program. If you have waited that until the governor comes, you are not going to start. We have our own culture. It's not compulsory that you be vice chancellor. I always give an example of Professor Bamiro. Professor Bamiro, as acting vice chancellor of the University of Ibadan, was to conduct his convocation. And when it was time to start, he said, please start. When the Minister for Education came, I don't want to mention the name, she insisted, why should you start before my coming? And the man said, we had a time. You are to represent the visitor. And he said, you will never be vice chancellor. Yeah. And the man said then, will I not be in this world? You will never be VC. You are acting VC and you are doing this. But because God has written it, because Professor Okebukola was there, the man became VC. If you prostrate to get a job, you will kneel down to do it. So the truth of the matter is that if you are worthy of the trust being given to you, you must stand up and defend the integrity of the system. In discussing dynamics of governance, what first strikes one is the word dynamics. What is dynamics? I go to Awolowo. At Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Lecture in 1976 in Cape Coast, Awolowo said he discussed dynamics, a concept that is crucial and is needed to be injected into the governance of both the micro and macro levels of governance. Awolowo in 1976 said, dynamics is the branch of science that is concerned with motion bodies and the ways in which these motions are influenced by applied forces. Newton's law of inertia states that everybody perseveres in a state of rest or of moving uniformly in a straight line, in so far as it is not compelled by impressed forces to change the state. Unquote. I called one vice chancellor one day. I was a vice chancellor then. Unfortunately, chairman committee of vice chancellor then. Then I learned that the university was closed due to staff demonstration. And I called the VC. I was very sad. And I said, VC, sorry for what happened. He said, what? The closure of your university. He said, what are you saying? My years are going. Let them close it. My salary is also going. I almost cried because this is a person who does not understand his place in history. You are wasting your life and you are... I couldn't understand. It was just like the case of somebody who lost his mother. And because I lost my mother when I was 4, I know the value of mothers. So I called the man and I was very sad. I said, sorry for Mama. He said, Mama was 70. Even if your goat die one day, you should have some sympathy for the goat. Your mama, because as if the mama at 70 wanted to die. And the boy on the same day, the woman who gave birth to you, and you are a professor, and he said, Mama is old. How old? 70. I pray that you die at 72. Awolowo went ahead to state that the greater the applied force, the faster the motion towards the required direction. The greater the force, the bigger the effects. We cannot achieve university governance without creating forces that make big effects. I remember when late MKO declared to be president, to run for the presidency, to go into politics. I was in Ilorin. I rushed to his office, to his house in Ikeja, and I said, you want to go into politics for what? Everybody who was going to politics because they want to become Abiola. So why do you want to go into it? And he told me something. When you are already by the side of the river, you are not afraid of water splitting on you. That was what he told me the other day. If you are afraid of bold decision, you don't need to be a VC. I'll try and be deputy vice chancellor, registrar. But if you are afraid of taking sharp, contestable decision, avoid being a VC. Yes. By virtue of University Act, as I shall further expatiate, the Vice Chancellor constitutes a sole creative and purposive dynamic in a university. All other officials, they assist the Vice Chancellor. That's the truth. You know that all other officers, your law will say the bursar, the registrar, they will be acting as directed by the Vice Chancellor. Go on. When the creative force, the dynamic of the VC are set in motion towards the required direction within the right environment, institutional growth is stimulated and excellence is achieved. It's not about complaining. Once you have taken the job, you have nothing. But if you don't, I remember University of Jos. I was searched for and I went for an interview at the University of Jos. When I got there, the first question they asked me, why do you want to become VC of Jos? I said no. I didn't say I want to be. You invited me. So you should know why I want to become the VC. I didn't apply. So if you want to be VC, there must be something that you must be ready that I want to do. If inertia is allowed to take root on the part of the VC, the university maintain a state of rest. No problem. You just count your years. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and at the end of the day, your name and photographs will be there that you were once a vice chancellor. But there will be nothing other than that. Yes. Look at global ranking of universities where people are. Yes, go on. Go on. You can see what is the difference between us. No Nigerian name was there. What's the difference? I believe it is good governance at all levels. Good governance is responsible for where we are in our universities. You can blame anybody. You can say, oh, those people who are in Abuja, they are stealing. Is that why you should steal? You can say those people in Abuja, they are not doing well. But you are giving a size. A size. You know how many Redeemers University that are in Nigeria? Look at the size of Redeemers University. How many of it are in Nigeria? Definitely millions of the size of Redeemer. You have no mouth to criticize Buhari if you cannot manage Redeemer. Because he's a man like you. He's managing 1,000 size of Redeemers. And they are saying he's not doing well. So for you to know whether you are doing well or not, because Buhari is a man, just as you are a man. You see, they say it's a lie when you say somebody is a foreman. Nobody can do the work of 4 men. So when they call you foreman, they are deceiving you. You are one man. Dynamics in the university characteristics. The university exists for the advancement of the society. The question of what the university and the society expect from each other has to be established. What is a university for? When Awolowo was creating Obafemi Awolowo University, he did not go to Ikene. When Tafawa Balewa and Ahmadu Bello, when they were creating ABU, they did not go to Tafawa Balewa or to Bauchi. And when Zik of Africa was creating University of Nigeria. He went to Nsukka, not Onitsha. But when we started having governors who had very limited visions, they started seeing university as the only instrument that can bring development. That's why you start having all of this, Olabanjo, and all this in their corners of their villages. Everybody started because they had no better vision for development of their places other than taking universities to their villages. And you can see the effect. Yes. The advancement, validation, and dissemination of knowledge are founded on cognitive categories such as free inquiry, intellectual freedom, rationality, intelligence, learning, academic competence and expertise, fidelity to data and knowledge, theoretical simplicity, explanatory power, conceptual elegance, and logical coherence. When you look at this very well, you go to some of our campuses, by the site, you will know that nobody was in charge. There will be riots, physical rioting. You will know that there is no sensible person in charge. Because the whole thing cannot be arranged. So you can't explain why this one is here. And when you ask the man, why is this one so? I remember I went to one university, I won't mention the name. And when I was going up, the deputy vice chancellor came to receive me. When I was going, I saw cobwebs. I'm going to the vice chancellor's office, and I told the deputy vice chancellor, what of these cobwebs? He said, I will tell the VC. A deputy vice chancellor that cannot remove cobwebs. You can see, he didn't know that he has killed the university completely. And unfortunately for him, when the VC, myself, and the chairman of council were coming down, the deputy vice chancellor, when the registrar of dam was coming, he was complaining about these cobwebs. Can you call the cleaners? I just kept quiet because he had told me everything about the university. A DVC that cannot take the phone and say, Director of Works, get this thing removed. The VC must not see it. He was the one reporting to the VC that I said so. The university is a meritocratic community of scholars. The university is an instrument for national political agenda. I say it again, national political agenda, not sectional, not partisan, national. What is the agenda that you want for the nation? To set it, to decide which direction a nation should go. Is it better that we have 130 political parties? Should there not be 2? Should there not be 3? Should there not be 4? As Maradonic as IBB was, should everything he has done be thrown into the waste basket, including 2-party system? So these are the issues. The university is a representative of democracy because they are democratic in the way they do things. The university is a service enterprise embedded in competitive markets. The university, there is a book, I recommend it to you. The name of the book, the title is University in a Marketplace. How to market a university. That's the title of the book. I've forgotten the author. IGR, everybody blame you. Go for IGR, go for IGR. IGR, everything, IGR. Poor funding. That's what we complain about. There is no money, there is no money. But there are so many ways that a thinking mind can make money. poor ranking, they condemn the university. Take note that the university is a blend. The university runs a mixture of command and confederation structures. Take note. The university is a command structure. It's also a confederate at the same time. When the vice chancellor gives instruction, it goes down. That's command structure, military. But there is also confederates, where people will say the faculty board decided. The VC may say that, but this is what the faculty board says. Whether the VC likes it or not, what the faculty board says will be implemented at the end of the day. So it's a combination of command structure. As you are pushing, some people are pulling. It's the only place where everybody is qualified to be the chief executive officer. Everybody in your Senate feels that he's more qualified than the current vice chancellor. It's the only establishment that you have that everybody will be thinking he could do it better because there is no head. But the vice chancellor, despite that, is very powerful. Many supra commands, council, senate, remote but effective, the college, faculty, department, and so on. And when you look at it, when some people ask you a question, which one is the highest authority in the university? Some people will say council. I say no. There is no higher authority between the council and the senate. It depends on what you are doing at that particular time. If you are discussing academic matters, how does council come in? If you are creating your statute for the university, anybody can start. Council can initiate, Senate must approve. Senate can initiate, Council must approve. So the issue of hierarchy is mobile in the university system. If you have a chairman of council who is so domineering and who thinks there are terminologies that we use that you can't find in the law governing council, where do you get it from? The law talks about council and senate, but because you must add something, just as the law talks about governor and you add executive, you call them executive governors now. So the same way you added governing to the council to make it governing council. The council of a university is a council. The senate is a senate, because none of them is governing in the real sense of it. In the university, you have respect for decisions, policies, and guidelines. When people are talking about Senate decision, you will think they are talking about the Quran or the Bible. They will say, Senate decided, and you will think it was from heaven. That's a good thing, that they have respect for decisions. But that decision, they have different interpretation. They will interpret that rule out of existence because of circumspection of the rule. So a vice chancellor must always be conscious that what the text you read, somebody will read it and give it another interpretation. Normally resistant to control. The university is normally resistant to control. You may control them, but they don't want to be seen as being controlled. Oblivious of proprietary rights. They don't want to know who owns the university. They talk about the university as if they are the one who established it. If you go there and say the proprietor, they say, what do you mean? Proprietor what? The minister has called me to say, they will say, which minister? Senate will decide against the decision of the minister if you are not careful. If you want them to approve it, you take it as your own, you package it very well, because they are rebellious to proprietary rights. They are idealistic in nature, generally theoretical. Generally theoretical. When President Avcnu told us 10% no discretion for vice chancellor. I say, okay, sir. If the commissioner of police give you somebody who is qualified to be admitted and he meets your cutoff, and you say, Obasanjo said there is no discretion. The day your students start riots, the commissioner of police will tell you, you have to take order from the IG. Yes. They are democratic but cultural. Universities are democratic but cultural. The university runs a conservative system. They believe in their tradition. We have our unique culture, tradition, and diverse orientations. Pollution is being held in, we are polluting this culture in Nigeria. I give example, particularly our convocation and convocation lecture. You go to a convocation lecture, 30 minutes, 1 hour. That's not a convocation. That marks, globally marks and ranks convocation lecture, if you like, commencement lectures. They rank it every year to say this is the best in the year. And there are criteria. You can go online. Maximum 18 minutes. But convocation lecture is another ceremony in Nigeria. But it's another day to talk about that. The VC of Pan-African University is here now. I think the name has been changed. The day he invited me to give a lecture, a convocation lecture, I prepared two. I put one on my right pocket, another one on my left pocket. When I got there, if there is normal Nigerian convocation, I will take the one on the right. If it is international, I will take the one on the left. And when I got there and I saw that they are both mostly white men and women, and they are international, I took the left one, 12 minutes, and I read the convocation lecture, and I left the place. But if it were Nigeria, if you go and read the 12-minute one, I didn't know that Bamiro that I was talking about was here. I wouldn't have given that example. I thought he was absent. I didn't know he was here when I was giving. He's just arriving. Oh, that's good. So, there are certain terminologies. You go to convocation and the man will say, can you stand up? Can you sit? Can you go out? We want to allow the procession to go out. We have our terms, our terminologies. Be seated. Rise. You don't say stand up. Can you rise? Can you be seated? Can you proceed? Can you recede? These are our terminologies that we are losing touch with. Go ahead. Unfixed hierarchy, I've told you, is dynamic. The vice chancellor at times is superior to the pro-chancellor. When acting as chancellor, he must be saluted and obeyed by the pro-chancellor. That is the nature of the university system. Council, Senate, Senate, Council. If you want to make a statute, 2/3 from Council, 2/3 from Senate, it doesn't matter who does it. And with the Procurement Act, the Vice Chancellor is put on the spot. Tender boards, your tender board, your PPC, power of council to appropriate and superintend had been seriously threatened by the Procurement Act. But a wise vice chancellor who has no other reason other than being that he wants to do the right thing. What's bad in carrying people along? This is what we want to do. You will obey the rules. When I was vice chancellor, when the Procurement Act came into existence, my council was almost on fire. Why are we members of council when everything had been taken over from us? I laughed. I said, look, nothing is taken over from you. Know what I used to do? I would take the thing to my board, do everything because the law says I will be the one to be held responsible, and I will now process it to council. At no time did any council change anything, because if you want to change anything, if it is not fundamental, I will agree, but if it is fundamental, I will show you the law that I will be arrested, not you. The National Assembly is also doing, but the most unfortunate thing that I hear, I believe it must be a rumor, is that vice chancellors have started contributing bribe. I believe it's a rumor that vice chancellor has started contributing bribe to bribe some authority. It's an erosion on university integrity. If you stand together, anybody wants to take bribe would look and say, leave them alone, no, they are mad. But the day you start to say, you contribute 1 million, you have lost the stream. I only pray it's not true, but I've heard it. Internal governance, self-reliant, mostly within the system, and consultative. Yes? Let me tell you the truth. There is no management in the university. Bring your law where the law talks about management. You can't find. The law would say the vice chancellor and principal officers, and they did not give any specific job to any of those principal officers except as directed by the vice chancellor. The manager of the university is basically the VC in the true sense of it. Principal officers assist him. He has general function limited only by Senate and Council. The vice chancellor works with as many people as are readily available for him. When it's convenient for him, he calls committee of deans. When he wants to take a decision and he feels that deans will be opposed, he will call the principal officers alone. When he wants all of them, he calls expanded management. But because none of them is illegal. None is illegal. So if he has this enormous power, why is he running away from the outcome that the failure is not his? Go on. It has rotational leadership. No oga for life. Step aside, non-departure syndrome. You finish as VC, you still go back to the classroom. Registrar, bursar, you go back. It has both the negative and the positive side. But it's telling us that no condition is permanent. And it's part of our culture to accept it. Your student will become the VC and you say, sir. But the student knows that the sir that you are making is artificial. When he misbehaves, you call him to the class, to the inside your office. Was that what we taught you? He will say, sorry, sir. Because he knows that that is where the power. But outside, you see him. I had somebody, Professor Kodri at the University of Ilorin. He signed my form when I was coming in at 200 level. But when I was VC, everywhere I say, yes, sir, yes, sir. But I know the truth. He was in the night, he would say, come. They call you VC. Is your head correct? This thing that you are doing. Because I know, yes, he was my teacher. And he remained my teacher. But if you see him today in this, yes, sir, yes, sir. If I'm doing something that is wrong, you see him, he will call me, lock the door. Is this thing correct? So you know it has this type of inbuilt mechanism to checkmate itself. It can be friendly, it can be hostile, but communication must be ever active. ICT is a double edge. It's good, but if you are not a clever vice chancellor, people will steal everything in the university through ICT. If you are not clever, it's the easiest way of stealing, and you will not know that they are stealing. So you have to open your eyes widely, because it's a veritable source of damaging your name. You will spend the money, you will not get the money. In public service, there are 3 things that you do when you want to steal. They say capacity building. They talk about printing. I won't tell you the third. Internet. It is important for you, if you are running a university, call it any name, there must be internet facility. Otherwise, you are not running a current university. Provision of internet is basic. There must be internet connectivity on your campus 24/7. E-library is compulsory now. You can have many books, but if you are not connected to all the e-libraries well, you are failing as a vice chancellor. E-teaching facilities, or at least start 10% per annum. 10%. That 10% of my facilities will have at least PowerPoint facilities. At least. E-meeting and e-management. When we started e-Senate in the University of Ilorin about 10 years ago, people thought it was impossible. But I'm happy they are still keeping it. Because you cannot be talking about sustainability when you continue to waste the number of pages of papers you waste at Senate meeting like this, and you are a university. What's the difference between the university and the outside world? When we were starting the Senate, people said, no, we have no computer. I gave every staff, every Senate member loan to go and buy computer. Pay it back in 12 months. So what do you say again? Hey, I don't know how to learn. Okay, go to Digital Bridge. We will pay. And that's how we started the e-Senate, and I believe you can extend it to e-meetings. I'm happy I wasn't alone then. One of my spare tires, my deputy vice chancellor, Professor Ayonide is here now as vice chancellor of Kolada University. Yes. A sleeping giant in Nigeria. Because you are complaining, is this one, is this one. What else do you want? Look at it. The University Miscellaneous Provision and Amendment Act 2003, which has not been amended up to today, says, and I quote, the powers of council shall be exercised as in the law and statutes of each university, and to that extent, establishment circulars that are inconsistent with the laws and statutes of the university shall not apply to the universities. That's the law. Shall not apply to the universities. It goes on. You see, I highlighted governing here. Governing, I said governing, because that's the only law where they mistakenly use the word governing. And I will tell you the reason. This is the only law of all the laws of the university that you will find the word governing in that sentence alone, not in the whole law. That's the only section where they use the word governing. Go and look at that law. It was passed on the 2nd of June, 2003 by the House of Representatives. 2nd of June, you know the implication of that. May 29 was the handing over. You know, the house will not lapse until sometimes. That was the time when the law was rushed. And in the process of rushing it, that you see, effect of June 2nd, 2003 Ori passage, they just took what was in the market, what you normally use, and that's what they put there as governing. No other law has ever used. This law itself does not use governing council except in this section. This governing council of a university shall be free in the discharge of his function and exercise his responsibility for the good management, growth, and development of the university. What else do you want? The nation has given you everything apart from the power you have. Somebody who was governor, it's not powerful enough. He added executive to it. Somebody who is council, it's not enough. You added governing to it. What else after being given all these powers, particularly in the federal universities? Yes, go ahead. But what are the basics? Because we say it's dynamic, it doesn't mean you turn everything upside down. There are the basics of the dynamics of the university. Yes, these are the four: the law, the master plan, the academic brief, and the strategic plan. Those are your watchword. If you want to be dynamic, that's where you should go. If there is need to change a law, propose. If there is need to amend your master plan, do so. Because somebody, after you have spent 3 years in a university, and I say, this your university is very bad. And the vice chancellor is hearing me because he's here. I said, the structure I don't like. He said, hey, this is how they have been doing it. You have spent 3 years. I must see the sign that you are changing. Your excuse has expired. The validity of your excuse is not more than 1 year. After 1 year, we should see the sign that you are changing it. The law, the master plan, the academic brief, the law, University Act, directly or indirectly amended. Directly or indirectly amended. You know what Akure is going through. You know what Avcnu VC went through. When you are looking at your law, I'm happy that some of them are getting out of the problem, because if you look carefully at some of the things for which they are being accused of corruption and so on, they are just part of the people who don't understand the university culture. I'm happy if you look at the judgment of Avcnu. Look at that judgment, and you will see that the judge was asking, are you not aware of this law? Are you not aware of that law? Why will you now accuse this man of this? But I don't pray any of you will go through what the man went through. Even if he's free and everywhere you are clapping, he will not wish it for his enemies. Because your wife, even your wife, will almost disown you. So it's better not to go through that way. That's why it's better to look at both the directly and indirectly amended aspect of the law. Because if your enemies are the one prosecuting you or pushing forward against you, they can make any case against you that you will even disbelieve yourself. You will be asking yourself, am I the one being talked about? Then I have cited some of them. The law, the circulars for the appointment and removal of VC. Take note, that is your council. And the council can recommend to the president the approval. They appoint you as federal and they can recommend for your approval. Therefore, you need to handle your council with care. You may have a bad council. That's your luck. If you have a bad council, it's part of your training to be able to know how to handle the council. Don't allow the council to mislead you. The miscellaneous acts, you can see, and I highlighted something there. I said statutes are numbered for purpose. Statutes are numbered for purpose. Statutes are numbered for purpose. Some people don't know the number of statutes they have again. I know of university that they have lost count. They just make statutes without numbering them. Number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. Because they are supposed to be. Even inaugural lecture. I know of a university where they held 13th inaugural lecture. Because they have forgotten that they have held 13th. They held another 13th. Policies and go ahead. The law. Take note of all these laws that I have called attention to because they are relevant despite the autonomy law. Employee, go back please. The law. Employees Compensation Act, Examination Malpractices Act, Copyright Act, Pension Act, NUC Act, Education Minimum Standard Act, Public Procurement Act. Public Procurement Act. Go and read a section where it says whether or not you are present, whether or not you delegate, if anything is done in violation of this act, you, the Vice Chancellor, the Chief Executive, will be held responsible and will be liable for 5 years without option of fine. You can see how draconian the law is. If you are a Vice Chancellor and you have not read it, you are walking on the way to prison. It's better for you to read it. Maybe you will feel like resigning. BMAS, circulars, and memos. Go on. The master plan is very important. If you go to some universities, I'm always very proud of the University of Ilorin. I look at that university and I say, those right from inception, those who have been vice chancellors there are just excellent. Look at the structure. We have a block that we call block 1 to 10. Just go and see it. The Akikugbe one. Go and see what they have done for that university. I went to another university that was established in the same year with University of Ilorin. I told the Vice Chancellor, it appears something was wrong from day one. Academic brief. From the academic brief, you have academic program flowing from it. Curriculum review is input. Curriculum review should be 2 years, 3 years, and it can even be monthly. You are teaching law. A law was passed yesterday that affects your course. That law is not in your curriculum. You must bring it in and write to the Senate that in view of this law or this thing that had happened, so thing had to change in our curriculum. You wouldn't be teaching something that had been repealed. The law that had been repealed is what you are asked to teach your students. And you know that yesterday the law was repealed. All you have to do is to bring the current one. And when you say that is what is in the curriculum, that is not it. Current inspiring, yes, strategic plan. That is where many of us are failing. The VC, you must put your input into strategic plan. I went to University of Jos again. And when they asked me the first question, and I answered the way I answered, the second question they asked me, what's your vision for University of Jos? I said my vision. My vision is to actualize the vision of those who established University of Jos. If every vice chancellor will be bringing his vision, there will be commotion of visions. You have a mission, you have vision for establishing your university. Give me your vision, and I as vice chancellor will actualize it. The strategic plan is very, very important. And vice chancellors must make their impact on the strategic plan. You cannot be a messenger, a passenger. I will tell you one top secret. I'm sure somebody who can belie me is here. When President Obasanjo was the president, he invited 4 of us for breaking fast during Ramadan. And we have finished our meal. Instead of going jeje, you know Obasanjo. Somebody said, Your Excellency, I don't want to mention the name of the person. He said, Your Excellency, I have one problem. Why would 2 of you, who are our drivers, be quarreling? What is the fate of those of us in the vehicle when you, the 2 drivers, are quarreling? You can trust Obasanjo. He said, if anybody whose edge is correct, will he be staying in a vehicle that is being driven by 2 persons? That by your own admission, it means your head is not correct. I'm the only driver. But you now say there are 2. If you tell me I'm fighting with my conductor, I can understand. But you are saying that the 2 of us who are driving that day, I won't tell more than that. Elements of university governance: quality of students, quantity, diversity, funding, be creative, be ethical, be mobile, and sustainability of it. Strategic goals, not just your own minor, narrow goals. Look at UN, AU, National Education Policy, and the Ministerial Strategic Plan. How do you key into the Ministerial Strategic Plan? How do you get your university without telling them? If you take it to the Senate, say this is University Strategic Plan, by the time they finish with you, you will not like the strategic plan. But if you set up a committee to look at the strategic plan and bring out how you can key into the strategic plan, you will be surprised that they will be clapping for you by the time you are operating the whole strategic plan. Yes. Council should appoint quality principal officers, due process, prudent, dynamic personnel. Yes. Institution resources, teaching, learning, students, impressive and well-maintained building, libraries, electricity, all those things. Yes. Go ahead. Quality of teaching, lecturers should be carefully employed. Recruitment of academic staff should be merit-driven. No university excels beyond the quality of its academic staff. Provision of recent literature, welfare for quality staff retention. Many of you say you don't have foreign students, foreign staff. I don't know why you don't have them. They say what they are earning is not. I will not violate government directive, but I have so many ways of making them stay. You go and learn from Ilorin how we retain our foreign staff and students. Not top-notchers, research, quality, go ahead. My time is almost up. General management, you can see. Admission process, quality, fairness, student registration, timely treatment of memo, not a vice chancellor that you will have memo on your table for 1 week. You are killing somebody. Culture of discipline, the postscript, yes. Leadership is everything. Our university are not at par with others. Even Mogadishu in Somalia, they are ahead of us. Everything boils down to leadership. Everyone should clear his own table rather than complaining. ESN UC did not do this, JAMB did not do that. Clean your own table and do your own part. Everything. We cannot be lamenting and complaining at all times. Everyone should clean his or her own corner. World-class university, how do we have it? Go ahead. Political and economic stability, rule of law, basic freedom, quality telecommunication and digital infrastructure. Reform capacity, look at it. Reform capacity of the leader. Yes. assiduous governance based on Salmi's 3 decisive factors. Salmi said decisive for world-class university. 1, concentration of talents. Not admitting or recruiting for ethnic or church or mosque related primordial sentiments, abundant resources, favorable governance. Those are the 3. Yes. World class, the hindrances. What are the hindrances? Do we still elect or appoint deans? Where in the world today, except Ghana, do they still elect dean? They interview deans of faculties and they give them mandates of what to achieve. We are still in the old class when deans are being elected. Search around the world and see whether they have not moved from the British election of deans. Even UK that started it had abandoned it. And you are talking of democratization when the people you are supposed to mentor, you are going to beg them to become dean because they have votes. And you turn around, you say you are the professor. Which professor? Professor that was prostrating yesterday that they should elect him. Is mentorship institutionalized? Lack of induction. You should know syndrome. Administrative stakes and native intelligence. I wrote to one vice chancellor and I said, please discuss. And he kept on sending memos to me. And I called. You are writing 3. I say, please discuss. Say, yes, that's why I'm discussing. Administrative language. Because that's discuss in the class means discuss. But administratively, discuss does not mean go and write. Discuss means discuss. Corruption. People, you would think vice chancellors are the most corrupt people in this country, the way people talk. It's not true. It's because you have adversary unions who want to criminalize any vice chancellor who does not do their bid. If VC and union agree, look at it very well. There is corruption going on. Because when you tell the VC sit down, he will sit down, no quarrel. Because he knows what he's doing. But where you have a vice chancellor who will say, I am the VC, there will be quarrel. Peer review mechanism, inadequate vision, prejudice and its products. Yes. Hindrances, unfriendly environment, undue fear. Undue fear. And I can give you few life experiences because I cannot tell you lies because you were witnesses to when I was VC. When I created 3 DVCs, you remember? 3 DVCs, we used to have 2. When I created the 3rd one, everybody would say, hey, did you take permission from? The law says I can do so. I do so. How many universities? Port Harcourt, Ibadan, and all the rest. And Ibadan was in the newspapers on 1 week ago and said they came for a seminar in NUC. And NUC now recommends that it is necessary for big university to have 3rd vice chancellor. He said this is what we created 15 months ago. But Unilorin created it 10 years ago. So, if you know that something had to be done, do it. Don't be afraid of anything. When we started arts and science education, you remember that what you used to have is curriculum, education, and educational foundation. When at the University of Ilorin, we thought it was improper, we created Department of Arts Education, Department of Science Education. Almost 90% of the universities are going that way now. If we had not taken the risk, many would not have the purpose. Annual report publication. We started postdoctoral diploma in education, PDDE. postdoctoral diploma in education, because we know that those who are holding PhD, they don't want to stay in the same class with other graduates. That's when we created postdoctoral diploma in education for those who have PhD. And I went to the these teachers, what do they call it? Teachers Registration Council. And I defended it. And they said, go ahead. And you can see in their publication that they acknowledge that Ilorin started it, but they have passed it to other institutions. Computer-based tests. I remember when we started it, it was like a war. Even JAMB started after Ilorin had started it. And that's why they had to call the deputy vice chancellor to come and put them through when they wanted to start the computer-based test. Because at that time we said, any class that you have more than 500 students, it must be computer-based test. No magic can make you mark accurately. Any class that is 100 and above, it is optional. And any other one, except final year, we don't do CBT for final year. That's what we did at that time. And heaven did not fall. A university exists for the whole universe. Dynamic of governance entails relating with and learning from others. Interfacing meaningfully with others go a long way in making university dynamic. You can do that. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, sir. Can we give him another round of applause, our distinguished scholar? Even though at the beginning he said he was almost afraid of what to say after some people had said some things, we now understand why. Because he has something to say indeed. Again, you are highly honored, sir, to have you, and thank you for that presentation. Permit me to make this comment before I make this announcement. It was this one husband who was telling another person that the wife was there, and he said, do you know that for the past 16 years, my wife and I have been married. We've never really agreed on anything. The wife just said 17 years. I think it's just a confirmation. As academics, normally there are things to say. There will be comments. But because we are pressed for time, we're going to invite for the interactive session just a very short belt before we go for lunch, because there's going to be a meeting of the vice chancellors here, but we want to accommodate a little bit of the interactive. Let's note our questions. There will still be room for it during the meeting, hopefully, to discuss some of those things. But if you must have your comment now, very short, we're going to provide microphone so that in the next 5-7 minutes we'll be done and move for lunch. It's actually almost running late for lunch. And so please, if you have, can you indicate? Okay, sir, I can see Prof. Any other one? I can see another two. Okay, I think okay.
I'd like to join you all in commending our Presido and the Executive Registrar of JAMB for that very practical, that wonderful presentation that has practical implications for what we do as Vice Chancellors. I just have something that is token, something little. What I notice, Professor Louis, what I notice is that when you get correspondence from universities abroad. Even in South Africa, some African countries, you find that you can ask Vice Chancellor Nnamdi Azikiwe University Oka, please, can you send three professors to our university for capacity building program? The way it will be written, sir, is they will say send 3, T-H-R-E-E, and leave it at that. But what we get from the Nigerian university community, they will write the 3, T-H-R-E-E, and they put in bracket again a figure of 3. I found that to be tautology. You never can find it in any scholarly writing. I can't imagine that you're writing a scientific or humanities-based paper and you say you have, let's say, a study in which you use like 198 students. Of course, you can use 198. Because the rule, by the way, is this. If it is less than 10, you use words. 1, O-N-E, 9, N-I-N-E. But from 10 onwards, you use the figures. So when we were compiling, and Dr. Sali will know, I would just want a view on this, sir. When we were compiling this state of university education in Nigeria, we get from vice chancellors, they will say we have 21 microscopes. I'm just giving us an example. They will write 21 and put in bracket again 21. I like your view on this, and I'd like us to take some position for the Nigerian university system. Is it not tautological? Because I don't find anywhere else other than in this Nigerian setting. The other one, sir, is this. That can be cultural. That is something that we want. But what I've found is when somebody makes a... Where's the MC? MC? Yeah, you need to stand by because this affects you. When somebody makes a presentation, Professor Abubakar Adamu Rashid has been making a presentation in a conference. You find there's an applause. You never can hear that, okay, give him a round of applause. I don't know whether you have attended international conferences when after the applause comes from your heart. The applause is spontaneous. But like I said, we can decide to contextualize it and be different. But I think when somebody has been making a presentation, let your applause come as a reflection of your heart. The applause meter should rise based on how well you have appreciated the person. But I don't know, Mr. MC, give it another applause. The applause is not enough. This is not a wedding ceremony for heaven's sake. It is an academic or trigbosa or something like that. I think this is an academic event. I just want your thoughts on it, sir. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's when I told you about Professor Kebukola, it's still part of the learning process. There are many things we do in Nigeria that you hardly find somebody who goes to somewhere, sir, and say, I'm professor. You don't say I'm Professor Isiaka Oloyede. It's not said. You just say Isiaka Oloyede. You can say Professor of Islamics if you like. But in Nigeria, you will see somebody saying, I'm engineer professor, and you will almost be running under the desk that say, what is happening? One of our culture as academics is that we are humble. All those things that people matter to people, we hardly. One day, I wrote to the Sultan of Sokoto, because he's my boss in one other aspect of life. And I wrote to him, and I said, in my normality, former Vice Chancellor, University of Ilorin. Then he asked me, what's so special about being VC? I said, everything is special about it. I can never attain anything in life greater than VC. I've not seen anything that I can attain in life that is greater than being VC, if you reflect very well. So, and I told you, and he looked at me and said, you mean, yes, that's the way we academics value those things. It's like becoming a professor. So what I'm saying in effect, sir, is that there are certain things that we do outside that are very, very embarrassing. I went to a conference in Australia, in Canberra, and those of us who are Nigerian, we sat together. Immediately, you see Nigerian talking, we will start shaking because they will say certain things that is not said. My names are, how can your names be her? And they would now say things, I'm professor, so. Some will say, I am emeritus professor. Once you say emeritus, you put it before professor, the subject must be mentioned. Emeritus professor of English. If you don't want to mention the subject, you say professor emeritus. So, but there are certain things, sir, as you have said, it's part of our, I don't know what to call it, that we are used to this repetition of figure. Sir, I have seen one that is even worse. Somebody wrote to me and said 1 point, and point is P-O-I-N-T, 1.7, and he wrote the point P-O-I-N-T. So there are so many things, and you see people even writing, and they will say, the man said, and I quote. The man said, and I quote. So in writing, these are some of the things we do. So I agree totally with you that it's an aberration. I also agree on the second point you raised, that some of these things we do, the earlier we start dropping them, because they make even our foreign students. I was in, okay, I have witnesses. Where is VC Ibadan? VC Ibadan or Deputy VC? They are not here. VC Ibadan and Deputy VC. All of us, we were in UK about 4 weeks ago for a seminar. And at the seminar, a dean of a faculty was asked to talk. And when he started talking, one professor just stood up and said, please give me the microphone. It was live. It was not, and the VC, I know, we have never spoken since then, but I know that the VC was embarrassed because he said, give me the microphone. You are not talking what you are asked to talk about. And that was the end of the paper. A professor from Cambridge just stood up and said, look, they gave you the topic, okay, that's not what you are discussing. Next person. We went, me, you know, I don't like, I went out before the closing prayer because I don't want to be seen, because I went to Mecca one time. That was my first Mecca. And when I got there, in Nigeria, I was doing in Jeddah. You have to go to the bathroom and do some things. As I was going in there, I didn't know what this black man did for this equally black lady. I don't know what happened, but the lady was just shouting that, look at this stupid man, and the man was running away. And he said, do you think every woman is a Nigerian woman? I said, madam, come eat. You come for religious prayer. He said, thank you. I told her, your Hajj is gone because you are accusing people falsely. Have you seen Nigerian women before? I said, hey, may God forgive me. It's this stupid man who made me feel. Then when I was going, the woman was very, very apologetic and thanked me. And she said, where do you come from? I said, Ghana.
Sorry, Mr. Well, sorry. with the permission of Mr. Chairman, I think Professor Okebokola, I just want to hazard two guesses on why. I'm just trying to, not necessarily to justify, because there's no justification, but to explain possibly why we are seeing this tautology. You say 20 and you put it there. And I think there may be two reasons. One, there's a particular genre in academic writing, accounting, where for emphasis is almost an acceptable requirement there. When you give figures, you also put words. Or when you give words, you put figures. In accounting, in the textbooks, in writing, in everything. So just and occasionally, as administrators, that is very useful, because sometimes you see somebody putting, say, 3 million, but then in the figures, he may say 30,000. So you know that 10 is missing, and you can analyze which is which. Now, this is only one. But then another one is, I met somebody who says, in Nigeria today, majority of the administrators or come from a background of finance, accounting. In the federal ministries, almost all the PAMSECs, all the key directors have this background of accounting. I don't want to say why or what he told me, why this happens, but that the influence of these key people could have now been responsible for the creeping in even circulars of government also sometimes, seeing this coming in, and it is now being adopted as if it is the norm. But the truth is, it is not. So thank you very much for the opportunity, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think we take the last one now from the VC Landmark.
Thank you, sir. Olayenju Adeniyi is my name. I've always loved the delivery of your lectures, sir, and by extension, the other ones that we've had today. Let me quickly make this request, that the slide be sent to our mail. Why I'm saying that, and I want to make a lay emphasis on this, most of the time when we ask, we make this kind of request, the answer will always be, we will send it. So before we leave here, I think because we have a network facility here, we should have it on our buses. Having said that, sir, thank God for what you have said about the departure philosophy. That is going away from the norms, going away from how we used to do it. You cited the example of appointment of deans. That is what I believe most private universities are doing today. There are so many other good things that the private university are doing. But the point is this: how do you balance? If you look at the public universities, federal and state, most of the time, maybe for like 3-4 years, you may not even see your chancellor on campus. But in private university, on regular basis. And the truth, like you also said concerning the issue of University of Jos, they have their vision. You are only coming in to align with the vision. So if the chancellor says, this is what we want, and this is the way we want you to go about it. So how do we strike a balance between being a vice chancellor in a public university and being a vice chancellor in a private university? Because it is easy for somebody out there to say everything chancellor is saying, that is what the thesis of private university are doing. Let that particular person also now come and be vice chancellor of university. But as young as we are, thank God our mentors are in the house. What can we do to balance the issue of when we have orders from the proprietor base? And one other thing, sir, I used to tell them in our own Senate, there are times they will say things, and I will always tell them that in public university, if a vice chancellor is going to be appointed, most of the time, even ASU as a union, as representative, they have input in the search team, they have input in the selection team. Senate have representative, but when it comes to the private university, the best most of the time is the council or what is called board of regents. And so if Senate does not have input in appointing who the vice chancellor of those private universities are, when decisions are now taken, will they be able to say no to it? Once again, thank you for that lecture.
Sorry, I can assure you that the papers will be sent to your mailboxes. Yes.
I thank you. I've added today in order to, because he said he has always been promised. My brother, VC Landmark, I think as academics, let's be professional, like medical doctors, like lawyers. When they are engaged, they have departure point. You don't give injection to a particular candidate and they say why? Say the proprietor said I should give that injection. They will withdraw your certificate of. The laws, by God's grace, I've been a pro-chancellor of a private university. It was when I became registrar and I saw that there could be conflict of interest that I resigned. The laws approved for all the universities made provision for consultation of the Senate in the process of appointing vice chancellor, whether private or public. It is because nobody is complaining when they are being violated. When I was chairman of council in Fountain, we appointed a vice chancellor, and I can see two professors who participated from Senate. Council will appoint his own, Senate will appoint his own, and we will do it as it is in the law. The only one that probably can be forgiven and should be forgiven is the foundation vice chancellor. Even visitor president just appoint anybody for foundation, that could be understood. Because you are private university does not mean that you will not obey your law. And that's why I think ES and Professor Okebukola mentioned this issue of structures not being allowed to work. If you are a vice chancellor that you are searched for, not somebody who was made vice chancellor because he needed to be a professor and therefore appointed professor and vice chancellor. So, which means that after his tenure, he must stay there or there is no tomorrow. So, in that case, he must do whatever he is asked to do. But a vice chancellor who knows that I'm from the University of A and they are waiting for me anytime, and he's not stealing, he's just taking his, he has nothing. Even the chancellor will think twice before overruling your advice. But you must do it with intelligence, because you did not establish the university. Somebody has his money to establish the university. There must be balance. When the instruction that is given by the chancellor or proprietor will be upheld to the level of his inconsistency with academic culture and freedom. You don't just attack him because he's not a professor. Because he is not a professor, but he has money. You are a professor, you have no money. So you must take that into consideration. You must take the fact that the man has his money into consideration and not just attacking him for attacking sake. But when he asks you to do certain things, I want this person to have first class. Because it's the son of my, I've had 2-3 people saying that, Baba or Mama, this thing, It's not possible. Even Jesus does not want this type of thing. So, you know you are a Christian, I'm a Christian. This thing is un-Christian, it's un-biblical. If it is a Muslim, it's un-Quranic. You come in from that powerful angle that I would say, VC, let's just bury it at that level. If you have no-go area, they will respect you. But I've seen cases where they say vice chancellor cannot approve more than 10,000 naira. They have to be countersigned by a PA to their chancellor and things like that. Akuku joye don't also join me o Kanu. Oh, you are not Yoruba, I pity you. Because it cannot be translated. I don't know how to translate it. That it is better not to be a king than to be a king without authority. Or it is better not to ride a horse than to ride a horse and be saying, excuse me, excuse me. Excuse me is part of the horse. Anybody who stands on your way, horse will trample on him. You don't need to say excuse me when you are riding a horse. So I believe that as professors and as vice chancellors, while we are respecting the authorities of the proprietors, we must know the no-go areas, particularly in academic matters, particularly in areas that I have seen matriculation, something as simple as matriculation, and you see that the vice chancellor is secondary in the process. That's not good enough. A matriculation, when I saw that they were creating ceremony for matriculation, we put Unilorin matriculation at 7 a.m. so that nobody will come from outside. Matriculation is a simple thing. Do the matriculation and why are you giving them sense of attainment when they are just coming in and the mother and fathers are coming? So we just change it and say 7 o'clock. God save you if you are not there at 7. So the mother and father coming from Ibadan, they will have finished before they say they don't go to matriculation in Ilorin because they are, no matter how early you are. And we make sure at the gate, every car on that day is searched. So it's not that you don't rush in. They search your boots very well and there will be a long queue. So you will not come in until we have finished the matriculation. So I believe that there are certain things that vice chancellors should not accept, even in private universities. When you are doing convocation, chancellor is there, you honor the chancellor and so on. But at times you extend it to the wife of the vice chancellor, to the wife of the chancellor, the wife of the proprietor. Your own wife too will be feeling inadequate, that I'm a woman too. And it's my husband who is driving this thing. So I think the most important thing, honor those for whom honor is due, but do not overdo it. Do not encroach on our academic culture. When you say 9 o'clock, start the program at 9. When the pro-chancellor or the chancellor tells you to do something that is on academic, quietly, with respect, tell him. But if you are not the one who begged to be appointed, he will treat you with some respect. But if you know that you call your king to go and beg the man before he allows you to be the VC, that's why I said, if you prostrate to look for a job, you must kneel down to do the job. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. And the MCs noted the observation of the professor. We want to make a few announcements and then we proceed on the lunch break. Please, we are pressed for time, so I have instruction to pass to us that we'll be expected back here by 4:35. Yes, it's quite short. we need to still come back, that's the Vice Chancellors, for their meeting. So after the lunch, the spouses of the Vice Chancellors will go to the syndicate room. It's located in the Vice Chancellor's office complex here, that red roof. That's where the wives of the Vice Chancellors. No, the husbands are here, sir. The VC, sir. Okay, sir, sorry. Yes, the spouses of the Vice Chancellors. With due respect, sir. Yes, the spouses of the Vice Chancellors will go to the syndicate room for their meeting, which is located in the Vice Chancellor's office complex here in Redeemer's, the red roof. And the Vice Chancellors will come here. Then the meeting we hold. The next assignment that will bring all of us together after the lunch break is that we are invited to a dinner and a courtesy call by the Osun State Governor. The takeoff time will be 6:30. The takeoff time will be 6:30, and we are not going in individual vehicles. We are going in a convoy using the buses. So please, that will smoothen the ride and help our details at the other end. So with this said, I want to ask that we rise and depart for lunch now, and hopefully to be back 4:35. Please, there are vehicles outside. We can just join. We can join the buses outside, and if you want to stretch our legs, we can just walk down straight by this side. Buses are there. We might not need to carry the individual vehicles for lunch. We can just go with the buses available. Thank you very much. Please, the person who is misplaced the glasses, the pair of glasses is still with us here. Check the registration desk if it's yours. Thank you.